When Claire invited me to her company's annual gala, I didn't think much of it at first. She made it sound like just another dull corporate event, full of networking, speeches, and polite smiles. She even told me I didn't have to come, insisting I'd be bored out of my mind. But the way she said it, something didn't sit right. It wasn't concern for me that made her suggest I stay home. It was fear. Fear of me being there. That was all the reason I needed to insist on going. "I'll be there," I told her lightly. "After all, I'm your husband." Her smile came a second too late, her eyes flickering with unease before she recovered. "Of course," she said. The night of the gala, I understood why she wanted me to stay away. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers and designer suits, laughter rising over the sound of clinking glasses. Claire clung to my arm tightly, steering me from group to group, making polite introductions but avoiding certain people like her life depended on it. Each time she introduced me, she left something out. "This is Mark," she'd say, never adding my husband. The first few times, I let it go, but when I finally said to myself, "her husband," I saw her expression twitch, just for a moment. Irritation, maybe even panic. It didn't take long to find out why. Across the room, a tall man with sharp eyes and a confident grin noticed us and began to approach. The tension in Claire's grip tightened immediately. "Claire," he greeted her, voice smooth and teasing. "You're not going to introduce me to your guest?" "Guest?" The word landed like a slap. Before she could speak, I offered my hand. "Mark," I said evenly. "Her husband." The man froze for half a beat before giving a low whistle. "Husband, huh? Well, Mark, we could use someone with your confidence on our team." The mood around us shifted in an instant. Conversations hushed, glances were exchanged. Claire's face went pale as she forced a tight smile. Her boss, because that's who he was, had said too much and everyone knew it. I smiled politely. "I appreciate the offer," I said calmly, my gaze never leaving Claire, "but I'm happy where I am." Richard smirked. "You should know, Claire's always talking about her independent life. I don't think most of us even realized she was married." That was the moment everything clicked. She hadn't been shy or professional. She had been hiding me. I met his gaze and replied, "Funny. She talks about her work all the time at home. I've always been proud of her." My tone was light, but the weight behind it made Claire stiffen. The group dispersed quickly after that, but the damage was done. When we were alone, Claire's nails dug into my arm. "Why did you have to say that?" she hissed. "Say what?" I asked. "That I'm your husband? Isn't that true?" Her glare could have cut glass, but beneath the anger, I saw fear. The whispers had already started. The rest of the night, she tried to laugh it off, pretending everything was fine. But the cracks were showing. People were glancing our way, whispering, smirking. She had spent years building an image of herself as independent and unattached, and in one night, I had exposed the truth. The car ride home was silent. She gripped the steering wheel so hard her knuckles turned white. Finally, she snapped, "You embarrassed me tonight." I turned to her. "Embarrassed you? For telling the truth?" "You don't get it," she said, voice trembling. "Work is complicated. People judge. Relationships make things harder." I let out a quiet laugh. "So your solution was to pretend I didn't exist?" She said nothing. And in that silence, everything between us shifted. The next morning, while she was showering, I opened her laptop. It wasn't locked. She'd never bothered. I wasn't looking for trouble, but after last night, I needed answers. What I found confirmed everything. Late-night emails, dinner meetings, weekend conferences, all with Richard. My stomach tightened as I scrolled through her messages. She hadn't just erased me from her work life. She'd rewritten her story. Single, available, ambitious. When she came out, towel around her head, she froze at the sight of me with her laptop open. "Care to explain this?" I asked, turning the screen toward her, her face drained of color. "It's just work," she stammered. "No," I said, my voice low. "Work doesn't require pretending your husband doesn't exist. Work doesn't involve hiding your marriage. And it sure doesn't explain why your boss thinks you're available. She opened her mouth, but no excuse came. The silence said it all. I closed the laptop gently. You didn't just protect your career, Claire, I said. You protected an image, one that does include me. Her lip trembled. It's not what you think. I shook my head. You call me your guest. You let a man think you were single. You erased me, Claire. Tears filled her eyes, but I'd already made up my mind. I grabbed my coat and keys. Where are you going? She asked, voice barely above a whisper. Somewhere I still exist, I said, and walked out. I didn't answer her calls after that. Didn't reply to her messages. I focused instead on reclaiming the parts of myself I'd lost, the friends I'd neglected, the hobbies I'd abandoned, the peace I'd forgotten. It wasn't about punishing her. It was about finding myself again. Weeks later, a friend told me Richard had moved on to another rising star. Claire was left behind, her reputation in ruins. The life she built on lies had crumbled. As for me, I didn't just leave a party that night. I left a version of myself who tolerated being invisible. And in doing so, I didn't just walk away from her. I walked back into my own life,